Hey y'all, welcome back to Whiskey Book. It's been a while, but we've got a new format, a new camera, hopefully it's working, and new way of doing things here. Can't wait. This episode, Herman Wouk, Winds of War. And, coming in the shot, we're going to do a blind test. Stay tuned. Alright folks, so a little different format this time. Instead of one or two whiskeys to describe or relate to a book, what I'm going to do is do a quick overview review of this really good book, and then I'm going to do a blind test with 3 different whiskeys to see which one relates. And that way there's no bias. I only have 3 to choose from, but should be a good way of having some fun, if nothing else. So hopefully the new camera works. Hopefully it picks up sound. Motorcycle Mike still has his mic. So let's see what we got going on here. What have we got? We have Herman Wouk, Winds of War. There we go. That's a better view. So Herman Wouk, Winds of War is 1,000 pages of World War II goodness. What's it about? Well, it's kind of a history book set in a fictional, it's a fictional story set in a historical time frame that with a lot of real world events, of course some fictional events, but it really tells pre-war World War II up until December 7, 1941, Pearl Harbor. If you don't know that date, yeah, maybe you need to jump and grab a real history book. Through the lens of one family, the Henrys, and the group of people that they come in contact with during this entire story. And this entire story, as far as the World War II part goes, really revolves mainly around Navy, some Army Air Corps stuff, but it revolves around this family, how they're tied in, what the cost of war is on families. So your family is separated during war. How do each of the players in that family deal with what they have? And then in this book, Victor Pug Henry is the main protagonist. He's a Navy commander who gets command of a battleship during World War II, but then kind of has to figure out, and we'll get into this in a little bit, that battleships may not, it's his dream to command one, but they may not be the biggest, baddest thing out there, and that's part of the book. Part of the book is how his wife deals with him being away for so long at war. His 3 children, one of them's a naval aviator, one of them's becomes a an officer in a sub. The other one, his daughter, gets involved in ancient social media. She works for a radio company with one of the biggest talk show radio hosts from that period. And you get to see the war from pre-war, when Pug Henry is actually in Germany, to up till Pearl Harbor. So you have during this whole book, Pug comes in contact with Hitler, Goebbels. He then has a working relationship with President Roosevelt. So Pug Henry comes in contact pre-war with Herman Goebbels and Goebbels' family, and there's a dynamic there. There's a whole story just based in the pre-war part when Pug Henry is an attaché in Germany, is in the unit that is helping to develop the war plan for if the U.S. goes to war. Because all of this book deals with U.S. Navy combat operations before the U.S. gets into war. There's a lot of the stuff, the Lend-Lease stuff, a lot of things like that. But the main parts of this book are Pug and his family, how they each go their separate ways and how they each deal with little bits and parts of the war. his son Warren, who's kind of the champion of the family, ends up being a pilot and gets involved in some early battles. His other son Byron is a sub officer who's kind of a lazy bum, but comes of age in a way. And his daughter Madeline, who's sort of the I don't want anything to do, I just want to go do my own thing, gets involved in the radio business that actually becomes a big part of what goes on in this. And then then it branches out from there. Byron, his fiance is the daughter of a famous Jewish author who lives in Italy. And a big part of where this book goes is their trek from Italy to get away from the Nazi regime and where that takes them. And it's a really in-depth, deep part of this book. In fact, the key points to this this novel, it's not a book, this is a novel. So the key points, there's a whole bunch of key points, and there's so much back and forth and in-depth. I mean, there's a whole chapters, not just a whole big part of this book that deals with the invasion of Poland and the bombing of Warsaw and the tragedy that goes on there and the heroism and some cowardice and all of that taking place. But that's just a small part of this book. And then the other part is things that are going on in the Pacific that are we don't really hear about, some attacks on some small islands and things that happened before Pearl Harbor. A lot of this takes place in Florence, Italy, as a base for one is Byron's fiance trying to get out of the country, but then the U.S. using that as sort of a base before Italy changes, and that leads to the kind of the second big point of this book. And it's scary how it relates to things today. Is you get this Jewish perspective of so Jasper, who writes this book. He writes this book called The Jews' Jesus, and inside of this novel, he writes this book, and this book triggers, of course, the Nazi regime once they take power to come and knock on his door. And what you see, the key point is things don't happen rapidly. It doesn't go from the Jewish people are there and then all of a sudden they're being persecuted. There's this change, this slow movement and change that develops where they're not really sure, okay, we feel like we're in a bad spot, but is this really? And then all of a sudden people are getting arrested and, oh, okay, this isn't good. Can this law change? They reach out for help to certain people. Well, all of a sudden those people aren't helping anymore. And it's just this slow change from living together to all of a sudden being persecuted in your own country, and having to leave and having to make decisions like you don't understand because taking this airline used to work, but now you can't because the Nazi regime basically took over that airline, and so you can't do that because you might be captured there. But what if I do get captured? It's a really in-depth view of how the slow change turns into an avalanche. And then kind of the last key point that I'll work on with this book, and we have 3 key points and we have 3 bourbons, so keep that in mind. The last key point is sort of what I touched on before. Pug dreamed, he came out of the World War I based battleship Navy, the biggest ship with the biggest guns wins. I'm going to start singing some Johnny Horton here in a second. And there's a saying that goes, modern armies are always fighting the last war's battles. And that means that the armies are using the tactics and lessons they learned from the last wars to fight the current wars. Well, World War I was trenches and big battleships. Well, this is a journey, and I don't want to tell you exactly where it goes. I mean, we kind of know, though. It's kind of Pug's journey from controlling a battleship to seeing, wait, maybe air power is the way to go. So some key points there, which is a really just 1,000 pages to get those major key points, but there are so many lessons in this book. There's so much drama, there's so much history, there's so much, and it's so well written. Herman Wouk deserves to be on the Hall of Fame, Rushmore, whatever, for historic novels, war novels. It's amazing. It really is an awesome book. Whether you read it, my grandpa, who was in the Navy in World War II, I have a picture of his ship up here. I'll show on the channel sometime. He was on an amphib destroyer. He recommended this to me, and he said, the only book I'll ever recommend to you, please read it. And I did, and I get it on audiobook, read the book. It's 1,000 pages. It's a long journey, but it's a journey that you'll appreciate. Of whiskey book. So I got kind of a cool thing. I'm going to do a blind today to see which one of these whiskeys, I'll get to those in a second, kind of match up most with this book. And here's how I picked them. So I've got Old Grandad 114, which is, I wouldn't say budget. It's Light of Doom. Here, try to get in this camera. Old Grandad 114, 114 proof. Little cinnamony, little hot from what I remember in the past, but we're going to try today. This is a new bottle. I've taken the plastic off so I don't have to bother all of you with trying to cut plastic off the bottles, but 114 proof, just bourbon flavors with spice goodness. Why did I pick this? Well, because Pug Henry may or may not become a granddad in this book, so Old Grandad 114. Also, USS California, the BB-44. The battleship had 12 14-inch guns, also had 14 5-inch guns, hence the 14. I also have Old Ezra 7. There, let's get in this camera. Old Ezra 7. Now this one is 117 proof. Why did I pick Old Ezra 7? Well, this book doesn't end on the day, but basically the book goes from pre-war to December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. I think that says enough for that one. And then Four Roses. So Florence, Italy, known for its flowers. It has its own flower garden. And also roses signify kind of, in a somber tone, the flowers put on all the graves of all the soldiers who died you're talking Poland, you're talking Russian and Nazis invading Poland and Warsaw, and then at the end, Pearl Harbor. There's a lot of soldiers, sailors, Marines who have passed away on both sides, and roses covered their graves. And so we're going to see which one of these best fits this book. Here we go. I have no idea which one's which. My wife set this up for me. Thank you very much, sweeties, and I really appreciate it. So let's get into the first one on my left. All right. Ooh. I am getting just a hint of spice. Vanilla. I'm getting some like chapstick, like almost cherry chapstick on the nose here. Wow, that's weird. I'm getting a little model glue. That probably doesn't taste real good, but all right, well, I'm going to do the nose first on all of them. So this is got a little bit of spice, weird like model glue, like that Tester's model glue, which I guess would fit the battleship theme because my last model I did was the USS Missouri battleship. All right, vanilla and a little bit of floral on that one. I'm getting some floral on that one. All right, so that's the left one. Middle one. Oh, that's a deeper caramel. That's for sure. That has a lot more caramel in it. And if you can see the number on the bottom, I can't, so don't worry about that. I'm not trying to cheat here. Of course, I don't know which bottle has the number anyway, so that wouldn't help me very much. I'll probably put in the on the screen or something which one I'm doing so you all know, but I have no idea. That one has some spice to it. A lot of just, this is bourbon right here. This is Vanilla, caramel, a little bit of honey. Yeah, with some spice, with some, that's like sugar and spice. That's pretty good. All right, let's go to the right, on the nose. Wow. Okay, coming off the middle one, there's definitely caramel vanilla there, but it doesn't hit nearly as hard. I got to search for this one just a little bit more. Okay, that's almost got some like spearmint. That's a different spice than the other two. The first one is actually the lightest nose. The middle one has just absolutely just spice and vanilla and caramel. This one, I'm searching a little harder, but the spice is more like black pepper or peppercorn. Really cool. And just so we know, I don't know which one is which, but the Four Roses, if I didn't say, is 104 proof. Small batch select, not just Four Roses. The Old Ezra 7 is charcoal mellowed, aged 7 years. I'm trying to find the age statement on this. This is what I'm trying to do for y'all. This one is Four Roses in Kentucky. I'm not getting an age statement on this one. So I'm trying to think, because one of these smells a little bit younger, and so I'm trying to determine if I can guess that, and I probably shouldn't try. Not getting an age statement on this one either. So we have the Old Ezra is the only one I know that it's Ezra 7 because it's aged 7 years. Sometimes on bourbon numbers mean different things, like Old Grandad 114 is because it's 114 proof. Usually the numbers mean either the proof or the age that's in the barrel. The Four Roses is just damn goodness. So, all right, let me set this up, and then we're gonna start with the flavors. Going in for the drink. First one, after smelling them all, I'm gonna kind of come back, get a little bit more on the nose, and then we'll dive in. Yeah, it's definitely the lightest on the nose. Definitely the lightest on the nose. I'm having to reach in there to get just a light vanilla with a slight baking spice, maybe. A lot of oak. I'm getting a lot of almost tannic oak. Not bad. Coats the mouth really well. The proof isn't overwhelming or anything like that. I'd like to say more, but I'm not. Kind of has a weird oak that rolls on the tongue. The finish isn't bad. Oh, okay, the finish, I'm starting to get some caramel, vanilla, a little bit more flavors on the finish, actually. The first initial palate hit, not that great. And I did have a bourbon earlier today to just kind of coat the palate and get it set for bourbon, but this has, I wouldn't say a funk, but you can definitely tell a tannic barrel note on that. Honey, little potpourri flavor to it. All right, let's go to the middle one. This is the one that definitely had the as far as the nose goes, middle one by far. Okay, that is toffee and butterscotch and just biscuits just right on the tongue, and it rolls back. I'm actually still getting the finish off the first one a little bit. I'm gonna have to take another sip of this, but the initial palate on this is so, it blows this one out of the water. No pun intended for the Navy. Oh, that is buttercream. Oh, that's just really caramel, really butterscotch, really buttercream. It's just coating the mouth. Just, oh, really good. I would say though, the finish is softer. It's not. It doesn't. it's not quick. It doesn't just go away. It's just softer. It's like buttercream starts really, really powerful, and by the time it goes to the back of the mouth, it's really light, but you can still get the same buttercream flavors. I really like this middle one. This is kind of I like a lot of the toffee, the Werther's kind of flavors in my bourbons. That's this one for me. Excuse me. Whew. That one hit a little bit harder too. I'm starting to get the Kentucky hug right now. It just took a while. Like this one, I feel like I could sit down, get that initial, and I've still got butter flavor on my tongue. Sorry, cut myself off there. But this one, I feel like I could just kind of get in a chair, sit there, and just take a sip and just let it float on my mouth. Because it's kind of what it feels like. It feels almost like cotton candy floating on my mouth, but like buttercream cotton candy. So weird. All right, third one. Let's go to this. Okay, now after tasting the middle one, I am not getting much on this one. That one is interesting. That one has a unique flavor. I can't quite pinpoint what that is. I'm gonna have to take another sip, let it sit here for a second. Doesn't coat the mouth as well as this one. And then I'll go back and I'll taste 3 and number 1 here, back and forth to see which one. Right now, the middle one's killing it, but this one, the finish is just gone. Has a really unique flavor on the palate, though. I'm gonna try to get it for you, but it's something I can't tell. Okay, it's creamier than the first one. It's got a little buttercream to it too. It's just not. I had to let the middle one go away to get to it, and it's got peanut on there. That's what that is. It's got some I don't know if anybody, I used to love doing this as a kid. I'd take the little Planters peanuts, the little packets, the salted peanuts, and pour them in a Dr. Pepper. Some of the best flavors I ever got. And then you'd eat the peanuts at the end, and they'd be the salt would wash off of them, so they're just sort of plain peanuts with a little bit of a Dr. Pepper flavor. That is exactly what this is. Exactly. That's pretty good. Yeah, okay. That's definitely more up my flavor profile, I think, than number 1. But let me go back to number 1. Ooh, now that's all I'm getting is Planters peanuts out of that. Ooh. Okay. That became nothing but peanut. Butter on peanuts. It's like you took spray butter and sprayed it over peanuts, poured it in the Dr. Pepper, poured all the Dr. Pepper out, and you still had a little butter on the peanut. That's what I know. It's a reach. Just stand by. So this one is light vanilla, strong oak, strong spice, and the finish is pretty oaky. It's not complex at all. It's good. It's just not complex. It's a wash of vanilla caramel, mostly vanilla, almost vanilla extract. Maybe a little banana. Sometimes I get vanilla and banana mixed up. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's nowhere near this one. That one, this one, middle one. Yeah, I could sip on all day. All right. So we're getting close to the end here. Let me figure out what I'm going to do, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, middle one. There's just no competition. This one. This is so freaking good. I don't want to drink the other ones. I just want to drink that one. But I guess I'm doing YouTube, so technically I wouldn't call it my job, but I'm obligated to drink the other ones, at least part of them. Maybe I'll pass these off to my wife, see what she thinks. Going back to the nose on the other two. So this one, clear winner. Middle one, whatever one this one is, clear winner. That's Herman Wouk Winds of War quality. Seriously, this cheers, okay? These two, going back and forth. On the nose, this has a little better nose. It's different. It's got a spice that reaches out a little bit more. All right, between these two, double fister here, let's go. Different spice, It's cool because, oh no, there's the peanut. Dang it. Like you drink this one a couple times in a row, you get nothing but peanut. The first drink you get after taking one of these others, not quite, but it's just this one. It's good. It's just there's nothing. It's vanilla and that's it. It's slight caramel, vanilla, and there's just nothing complex there. And even though the peanut thing's not my favorite in bourbon, like I said, I used to pour peanuts in my Dr. Pepper and drink it. I in the bottles, not the can, the bottles, and then you get it kind of reminds me of baseball games and stuff. So, which was popular during this book. Baseball was more popular. Now it's football. In fact, I have the playoffs going on over here, and yep, that's cool. So that's how it goes. Winner in the middle. Second place, right? Third place. Let's find out what third place is. Third place is number 3. What's number 3? Oh, no way. Oh, I did not see that coming. I love Four Roses Small Batch Select. And I'm already going to make excuses for this, that I just opened this bottle and it didn't have time to open up yet because this is one of my favorite drinks ever. However, I'm not going to make a lot of excuses for it because Four Roses, my first bottle of single barrel, not this one, but single barrel, I couldn't stand. And I didn't understand why anybody liked Four Roses at all. Then I got a second bottle and it was really, really good. Excuse me. I think Four Roses absolutely changed. It give and take which bottle you get. That's too. I thought for sure this was the middle one. Okay, so second place, number 1. I have a feeling that's going to be Old Ezra. No, peanuts on Old Granddad 114. What? I've never gotten that before. No way. Which makes the winner, and I guess that's not surprising if it's 7 years old. Maybe it's a little older than the others. The winner, December 7th, 1941, Old Ezra 7. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed the heck out of doing this. I kind of like this format. I think I'll keep it up. Pick a book and then do a blind off of it. Just gives me an excuse to do a blind. Thank you to my wife for putting this together. And thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time on Whiskey Book.